Tonight is about love. I'm 71. Today is November. What is today? Today is November 19th, 2018. I was watching a movie about a love story, and eventually they got together after adverse circumstances for a number of years, and they got married. Was the end of the movie, and I just started crying. I have no love in my life. Nobody loves me. And I don't love anybody. I care about various individuals, and certain individuals care some about me, but I remember I knew a woman, and just fell in love with her, and literally, just like the Beatles song, I never heard the bells ringing until I met you, and it's just it was like that. I never experienced anything like that in my life. It was just so it was so real. I mean, just gosh, did I love this woman. And it's just, I mean, and within a week she'd gone back to her boyfriend. I mean, she had said she loved me, but she got a call from her boyfriend that night, and she went back to him. And I've had so many opportunities like that. I've been with, I figured, around 43 women, and I never slept around. I just I felt, if I had a relationship, that was what was important to me. And so I've had opportunities, some really nice women, but just love, I never had love. I had crushes that God, you just wouldn't believe. I mean, really bad crushes. I mean, and I spent money, and I couldn't talk to them, and it was just phenomenal. And many, I would say, crushes over the years, just incredibly bad crushes. And but it just never worked out. Just from my traumatic upbringing, I just characterized it as my heart got iced over by the time I graduated from high school. It was 12 different neighborhoods, or 14 different neighborhoods and 12 different schools by the time I graduated from high school, and the parents were fighting, and they were emotionally abusive against us and kids, and I mean, it was just a really horrible, horrible. I mean, the pain, my God, the pain of it. It was so, God, it was so, just so terrible. It was so many decades I had that pain, and I worked so hard to get rid of it. Literally 2 to 3 hours every single day, 7 days a week, year after year after year, over a period of about 5 decades that I worked on it. And I had something called the black O. And one morning, and this was just about a year ago, I got up and it wasn't there. I don't know what happened to it. I mean, this black hole, big, like a big black sinkhole in the middle of me. And of course, it made me do all kinds of behavior that was self-destructive and was not in my best. And it was just a terrible influence it had on my life. And I tried so hard to unravel it. It was like a Gordian knot. And I just couldn't. I just couldn't seem to make headway on it. And just so much time I spent, and to have it just boop, just one morning it was gone. I didn't feel a loss. I didn't feel an emptiness. I didn't feel I was missing something. It was like it had never been there, and I had been normal all my life. But, tonight watching this movie, and I've cried before because I'm so frickin' lonely. I just miss love, and I just don't know what it is. I simply don't know. It sounds strange. I know what it is. I've been in these relationships, and I had this woman I felt so totally in love with, with the birds singing in the morning, and but honestly, I mean, that was maybe, it didn't feel like an infatuation. It felt like love. But nothing ever worked out. I can't say that I ever loved anybody uh, in that way, as a long-term relationship that one might have in marriage for 40, 50 years. I've never had anybody love me. You know, why? I mean, I don't know what love is. I know that I'm missing something. I know how lonely I am, and I cry about it. But there's just nothing I can do about it. I don't know that somebody's love would help me. This loneliness, is it because of lack of love, or is it some damage? Something's damaged in me because of my that traumatic childhood. For that went on for that was like 17 years by the time I graduated from high school, and I cannot tell, but I'm crying, and it's real, and the pain is real, but I don't know. I'm 71, and I've never been loved. And I've never loved anybody, and I know that I know that it's not in my life, but I don't know how to find it. And I don't know if that's what's missing. I know love is missing, but what does that mean? I mean, this thing that I'm missing, is that because I have some damaged part of me, and I'm experiencing difficulty, and I'm saying I need love, when in fact I need some kind of something changed chemically in my brain, so that I am, and so that I would approach a relationship differently, and I wouldn't be looking for this type of love that I have in my mind that I'm missing, when in fact it may not be what love is possible between two people, a man and a woman for me. And, do I even know what I'm missing? I'm calling it love, but and I am lonely, there's no question about that. But, I don't know what to do. Well, psychiatrists can't help me. Psychologists, they can't help me. They've never experienced such a thing. They don't know what I'm dealing with. And furthermore, I don't know that I've ever met anybody who ever spent any time working on things internally within themselves. They've gone to school, medical school, or they've got a PhD in psychology, so they're a therapist, but I don't know anybody that's ever done any internal work on themselves. And I've spent 2-3 hours every frickin' day for 50 years. I know what's going on internally. I know. I go inside and I'm there and I observe and I fiddle around and I do things, and I've written about the various functions within the brain that I have experienced. They're interrelated, blah, 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 go on. It's in my website. And, but I don't hear anybody else talking about it. But how many people do you know would spend 2-3 hours every day by themselves poring over their internal workings? I don't mean physical workings. That's totally something different. I'm talking about the internal of the mind, the brain, the emotions, the psychology. Those things, those functions internally. Who does that? And look at this video. I mean, who's doing something like this? And here I am. I'm actually exploring these things. And this is what I mean, but I'm using words now. But if you want to really get into the internal functionings of the areas I've indicated, you have to go beyond words. You have to learn to navigate internally there, going from one structure to another structure to see their interrelationship. And there are no names for these things yet that I know about anybody's doing this. But it's just like if you have an explorer going into the rainforest, and he spends some years there, and he comes back, and they say, well, where did you go? And he says, well, there were mountains, and there were valleys, and streams, and meadows, and blah, blah, this and that, another thing. And they say, well, what were they called? Can you tell? He says, no, they're not. Well, there are no names. We don't have any names for these. And as an explorer, if I give them names, what is it going to mean? It won't mean anything to you. When I say, as I made a video about the sleeping tool, that's a specific function in the brain that I have described and videotaped like this, where I'm actually using it. But it doesn't make sense to you. And I've done so many things, so many things like this, and I go back and revisit them. I can go back and use the sleeping tool anytime I want. And all these other different functions, I can go back and I can access them, of course, without words. But it's like, how do you convey this to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist? They've never done such a thing. But you see, it says, one person said, it was in the Bible, where I think it was Paul, said, you can know all the mysteries of life and have all the different abilities, etc., etc., but if you don't have love, you have nothing virtually. And, I that's the way I feel. you know, and you have these things that are talked about that that many philosophies talk about, the Sufis, the Buddhists with the Lotus Sutra, the Japanese with the Inga Iji and Inga Guji, and Rumi, and all these people. And yeah, right, you know, and Idris Shah with the teaching stories that I read all of his stuff 40 years ago. I mean, yeah, that's right. You know, these people are right on. I just, yeah, I experience what they're talking about, and you know, and yeah, it's really, I'm speechless to describe what they are referring to, and it's just too. I mean, fantastic is just an understatement. And the benefits, the worldly benefits, are just, you could only understate it. You couldn't, or whatever, you couldn't overstate this, state this. It's just, you know, but in the end, I'm sitting in my chair tonight and I'm thinking over these things and I'm crying. I always wanted to know what all these guys were really talking about. I don't mean intellectually, I wanted to experience it. And when I got the chance, I just thought, hey, oh my God, this is really happening to me. I can't believe, I can't believe. And, you know, I just, you know, I just, you know, just, there's just nothing, it's, it's just nothing, you know, with the lack of love. I mean, you know, money doesn't do any good. Therapy doesn't do any good. Reputation doesn't do any good. It's just like nothing. I mean, I was achieving the dream of my life, and there I am sitting tonight in the, I mean, how can this be? How can I feel such accomplishing, attaining such a thing that's so, to me, is the most important thing in life? To answer the most important questions in life, about life, and what all these guys were talking about, Jesus and Buddha, Rumi, and the others like this, to actually say, right, I understand you guys, what you're writing, what you're doing, I don't get it. I not just get it, I am. But it's like nothing. maybe I don't get it. How can those two things be together? How can I do this and lack so severely that? I guess if you have a deformed foot, there's no amount of self-development that will change the pain that you feel when you walk. If your leg was deformed in childhood, you live with it the rest of your life, I guess. So you have whatever you accomplish, and there you have. You can do nothing about your deformed leg and the pain that it causes you as you every step. I guess that's it. Somebody said before enlightenment, chop wood, do laundry. After enlightenment, you chop wood, do laundry. Before enlightenment, a deformed leg and pain. After enlightenment, deformed leg and pain. I guess. I can understand a deformed leg not mending, but a heart, love, is that really the same as doing laundry and chopping wood? To feel so lonely and such pain, not from the past, but I mean right now, the loneliness is just, it's really terrible. And I've solved so many things in my life, but I don't see how to solve this. Just to figure out what's wrong, because something isn't right. I mean, feeling lonely like this just doesn't seem like the right thing. I can't believe that DNA is programmed for me to develop like this. I really don't know. I don't know. I guess as the days and weeks evolve from tonight, I've encountered this before, but maybe I'll arrive sometime. I mean, the black hole disappeared, and I really can't say why. And this too may disappear. I don't know. Things, it's happened before to me. Who knows? I really don't. But I am a perennial optimist. Well, I mean, there have been times when I have not been so optimistic. I have to take that back. but it does seem to resurface time after time. Well, it seems like I should fall in love with somebody before I die. I don't mean just a nice relationship. I mean, I just feel like I have this love that I can fall in love with somebody and really, really have something really important in my life, not just a Saturday night relationship that you know morphs into marriage or something. I mean, just just my heart wants to love somebody, wants to love a woman. Just to be clear, uh, so totally, and I experienced that with that woman with the birds. But it just I guess it wasn't all there at the time. Something wasn't right. Something, but now it just seems like I have that capacity and the desire, and uh, before I die, that I should have a major milestone in my life, like it is to a lot of people, that I should experience that too. I don't know why not.